Our group, our division specifically, Wilhelmsen Ships Services, we provide the main goods that a vessel needs to operate. It goes since the basic products that they use for cleaning to specialized products that are approved by engine manufacturers, for example, or products that they need to meet some requirements around the world, among other solutions, just like mooring ropes that are used in the day-by-day operations to the vessel and are also regulated and associated to safety on board.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteforMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Rodrigo Monteiro. He's the head of sales for the Americas for the Wilhelmsen Ships Services. Rodrigo, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kelsey. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you. So, Rodrigo, why don't you start and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Rodrigo Monteiro, born and raised in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, based in Houston, Texas now. I'm a chemist. By my basic graduation, I hold MBA in marketing and business communication. I don't know if I still can say that. I just have this younger face, but I don't know if it's true anymore. I work in technical sales for 23 years and moved to Houston 5 years ago with the family, our little dog.
Aw, that's amazing. Sounds like you've had, an interesting background bringing you to Wilhelmsen. So tell me a little bit more about Wilhelmsen.
Well, Wilhelmsen holds it is actually the most extensive network to global maritime supplies. So we operate around about 2,000 ports in more than 100 ports around the world. So we have a few different brands that are well known in the industry. We basically supply 50% of the merchant fleet worldwide.
Wow, that's an impressive number. So tell me a little bit more about, what Wilhelmsen does.
Well, our group, our division specifically, Wilhelmsen Ships Services, we provide the main goods that a vessel needs to operate. It goes since the basic products that they use for cleaning to specialized products that are approved by engine manufacturers, for example, or products that they need to meet some requirements around the world, among other solutions, just like mooring ropes that are used in the day-by-day operations to the vessel and are also regulated and associated to safety on board, welding and cutting equipments and products, gases of all kinds, since industrial gases for welding cut, up to the refrigerant gases that are starting to face more attention to the market during the reduction to global warming potential, so the reduction of CO2 impact. So refrigerant is also part of our portfolio. And part of our job is also to give the right orientation to customers to apply and comply with all these regulations worldwide. So it's a little broad. Internally, we usually say that basically everything that the vessel needs, we sell, but not necessarily they are buying from us yet.
Interesting. It sounds like there's a lot going on for Wilhelmsen Ships Services. So, how are you able to, you mentioned having a very large, presence in the maritime community. Talk to me a little bit about how you're able to differentiate yourself and continue to establish yourself as the leader.
I would say that the main one is a network. It's the most extensive network. You imagine a vessel sailing around the world. Not necessarily they will be in the same ports all the time or easy ports all the time. So we have a footprint in more than 100 ports, 100 countries in 2,000 ports. So our main goal is to make sure that our customers will have our products available when they need, where they need. Making sure that they have a standard solution. They don't need to look for alternative when they are in a urgent situation, something like that. We take leverage of our differentiated network to make sure that our customers will have a standardized solution compliant with the regulations also. it's an important point.
And why do you think that's so crucial?
Uh, the maritime industry is extremely regulated. Not today, it's extremely regulated. We saw what happened in the history when we go since Titanic that brought some needs related to safety and environmental attention that it requires. We have different regulations, not only for safety, environment, but also we have the regulations, human centered that are bringing. So, and we need to make sure that our customers are compliant across all of them. There are rules. Rules are to be followed. And we understand that our job is not only to provide products, but provide orientation and provide products that allow our customers to be compliant with these regulations.
And during the COVID-19 pandemic, there were a lot of challenges that the maritime industry faced. Talk to me about what that looked like for Wilhelmsen Ships Services.
Wilhelmsen, obviously, as every company needs to adapt with the new landscape to the industry. It was interesting to maritime industry because if you imagine, part of the fleet was not operating. So we in the middle, we had the crisis with tankers because the oil price decreased, became negative at certain points. So it doesn't make sense to move cargo around. But imagine the cruise industry. This industry basically stopped. All vessels went to zero. They were not sailing. And they start to be allocated to ports where they never were before. And it was something that Wilhelmsen could leverage and adjust to position our solutions available to these customers in these ports that they never were before. Also, I would say that not only for Wilhelmsen, but with the feeding to the maritime industry itself, to the market itself, the COVID-19 period, a kind of boost to the digitalization. It moved towards the digital solutions, and I'm not speaking only through use Teams, to use Zoom, to use these tools of communication, but it drove the industry to go after the 4.0 industry.
And I really like how you said, leverage those solutions, because in a very difficult time, you were able to, take that opportunity, and it was an opportunity for growth.
Yes, absolutely. I would use a Brazilian say, but I won't because it may be misinterpreted. But yes, it's opportunity to growth because also it triggered new needs in the markets that we were not looking again. Who before pandemic were looking for air quality inside vessels. You monitor because there are some regulations. You monitor that as you need to do, but how to improve, why to improve. And I believe it was one, if I can quote one of the opportunities, it was one of them. More preservation classes, because vessels that we never imagined how to preserve, because since you built a vessel, we delivered the vessel, we expect it to be sailing, but then you have vessels that were preserved in layup, as we say in a language to the industry, that was layup for 2 years or more.
Yeah. And I imagine, that was probably a major challenge that your clients had, was being able to, take those changes, really lean on Wilhelmsen to adapt to these changing times as well.
Yes. And in Wilhelmsen, it's something that we take seriously is the customer experience. So we have a customer-centered approach, and we take really serious this to step up, to bring our customer relationship and customer centricity to another level. And we understand it's pandemic was one period that we could show the customers, hey, we are here to support you. We are going to move whatever we need to support you. And customers know that they can rely on us.
That's fantastic. And when you're talking about your customers, do you tend to see trends in kind of client profiles and in who tends to work with Wilhelmsen Ship Services the most?
Not specifically. Wilhelmsen is a B2B business, obviously. So the people that has a small boat obviously are not our customer targets. But in general, ship owners, companies that own a vessel or a fleet, ship managers, because part of this market also, you have the ship owner, but this guy will not operate the vessel. They will hire somebody else specialized to do ship managers, and ship operators are our main customers to Wilhelmsen Ships Services. We have two different types of stakeholders inside this group. So we have the shore fleet, where the shore-based team that will be basically the decision makers, the guy that do the initiative job to the vessel, and we have the end users that are the crew itself. And this is something that we always need to balance, because two different positions, two different understandings and expectations from the solutions that we are offering. The most differentiator is when we look at these two type of stakeholders that we found, the groups on shore and the groups on board. So it's something that we always align when dealing with our customers in the day by day.
I like that, by land and by sea.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. So, Rodrigo, I'm curious to pick your brain a little bit. I imagine, in the maritime industry, in the shipping industry, that there are a lot of common misconceptions. People may think that they understand kind of how things work, but may not completely. Is there anything that you hear often that you're like, well, hold on, it's not actually that way?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, this misconception. And it's something that we touched superficially previously. Maritime industry is too traditional. They don't embrace digitalization. They don't embrace technology. Yes, it may partially true, because in the past, maritime industry usually goes low in new technologies and digitalization. But specifically after COVID, as we mentioned previously, it ramped up. It get one interesting pace. And digitalization is something that basically all customers are talking about today. I can give you an example of solutions that we brought. So vessels, they need to, according to the regulations, they need to maintain a line management plan. What means that is that the mooring rope that they use to tie the vessel to the port, you need to log the hours that this rope is working. So they need to maintain these logs. And it's interesting because they need to maintain the log available to the crew and the shore teams, not only the logs, but inspection. When this rope enters service, when this rope receives the last inspection, they need to maintain that. Usually, it's a shared folder in an Excel spreadsheet. Wilhelmsen brought to the market what we call the LMP, Line Management Plan application. That is an online application where the customers are able in one click to log the hours when you start to operate the rope and when they stop to operate with that rope. So the app will monitor the hours of mooring. We'll store the last inspection. We'll notify about the new inspections. We'll monitor what they have as a replacement rope. It will help our customers to track the shelf life of this rope and at the same time to be compliant. So it's one of the solutions that we develop. Or even when they look for the regular maintenance to vessels, to cooling water treatment the engines, it's extremely important to make sure that the water that cool down the engine is well treated to avoid corrosion and everything else. Or even the boilers. If you think about a tanker that has a boiler to maintain depending on the cargo, you need to maintain the cargo heated. The boiler is something that will do that. In the past, boilers used to be used for propulsion to the vessel. We have a software called Waterproof that the crew will run the analysis, the regular analysis as they do, and log the results in the software. And the software will tell them what they need to do based on the results. As, hey, you have this parameter out of the specification. The recommendation is take these steps here to correct that. And in the end of the month, we generate a report that the customers will receive automatically on board, and to the short teams give a summary of the whole month treatment, if the system is under risk, where they need to pay attention. It's something that's generated automatically. So these are two solutions that I can give you as an example that the industry is adopting faster.
And I think, it's small things like that. Well, they're not small, they're obviously huge for the ship, but it's little things like that, that are so important to keep track of, and accessibility and being a partner, Wilhelmsen being a partner to your clients, to the boats by land and by sea, to make their lives easier, to make, shipping safer, and, and make sure that you're accessible, you're speedy, and, you're providing all the services that, that your clients need.
Yes, yes. This is pretty much our position. And again, when I mentioned the human centricity, and it's also our focus on safety, that something that our customers has the perception. If I can give you an example of one of these focus and innovative solutions that Wilhelmsen brought, nothing digital. Imagine that when we talk about mooring, for example, mooring is performing the same way for 100 years. Since the beginning, you tie the vessel with a rope to the port. And the industry also had the concept that, the rope will break at certain point. Yes, it was developed to break, and you don't damage the vessel. But there is one problem. When the mooring rope breaks, it will snap. And it will move in a speed about 800 kilometers an hour. If it hits somebody, it can kill somebody.
Yeah.
And for years, the industry had the concept, yes, it's normal, it will break. But we also took a position a few years ago that, okay, we cannot be comfortable with that. Because since it always happened, we cannot accept that it will keep happening and exposing the seafarers. And we started to develop a solution called the Snapback Arrestor, SBA. It was the first solution certified by DNV. Wilhelmsen developed a solution where our ropes and all ropes in our portfolio today that we supply will have this technology. We have a core in this rope that will, in case they broke, it will absorb the impact and redistribute the energy, avoiding the snap or reducing the snap. So it's something that we brought to the market and aiming to improve safety. It was the first solution in the market that we brought back in 2-3 years ago. And it is interesting. There is one interesting video in the YouTube channel from Wilhelmsen where we intentionally broke 16 ropes. 8 ropes with the technology and 8 ropes without the technology. And we compare.
And?
It's really interesting to see. And when it's spoiler alert, when you can observe how violent can be a rope without this technology, and how you can reduce the damage caused by a snap when you have this technology. It's really interesting to see, to describe that. We'll never get close to the impact. And it's interesting when we present this video to customers the first time. Now is somebody kind of watched this video, but the reaction was always, whoa, what happened here? When you observe without the technology and in a simplest, you observe the SBA really working.
I think that's so interesting. And, you answered one of my questions that I was going to ask Rodrigo about where can people go to learn more, kind of see the work that, that Wilhelmsen Ships Services is doing. So you mentioned your YouTube channel. Where else can people go to learn more?
Yeah, we can go in our official website, wilhelmsen.com/ship services, or in the social media like YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, Rodrigo, this has been a great conversation. I appreciate all of your insight, the conversation about ropes, the YouTube video. We'll definitely have to check that out. Maybe my team will put a link in the description for how to reach that as well. But, I think this was a great conversation. I appreciate all of your insights, the changes in the shipping industry, the changes during COVID, and, how Wilhelmsen really works to be a partner to, make shipping accessible. So I think this was a great conversation. I really appreciate you being on Business Ninjas today.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, great to have you.